Yes, the Watchers. These are the parents of the Nephilim. Now in Columbus, Ohio, we are given one of the most important narratives to this point, to our research, in my opinion. We have the Pontifical College, Josephinum, where Joseph comes over to the USA from Germany in 1867. 3 years later, he becomes a priest and has his own church within a few months. And he gets to buy the house next door, of course, to support 12 orphans. And do we all know about the orphans at this point? Possibly a repopulation tactic that was going on in the 1800s. It's very interesting. Was it only 12 orphans? Or was this one of the places that they would send the orphans through to get them into society? Because who would ever question Joseph the priest from the 1800s? You know, the guy that just randomly shows up from Germany, has all the money ready to buy houses somehow, to support orphans. It all checks out, of course. Simple stuff for Joseph. This was known as the St. Joseph Orphan Asylum. It grew so rapidly, for some weird and of course very random reason, that 5 years after it began, Joseph moved the operation closer to the railroad, which is how these individuals would be dispersed throughout the country. So this is a paragraph of admission. We are being told, down to the smallest detail, how this operation worked. It would go through churches. They would bring a manager type over from Europe, call them a priest, give them a house, give them the resources to run these operations, purchasing new buildings with ease to run the program. So not only do you have the world's fairs that were a repopulation tactic, you had these orphan trains and orphan hubs where they would be dropped off and planted into society. The new facility that Joseph was just finding and saying was his. I want to make that clear, he wasn't building anything. He was given these buildings that were already there from the previous civilization. So the new building gave the orphans a training in the trades. So this Joseph guy was obviously sent with a purpose, to repopulate and teach to a brand new society, one that didn't have any skills. This right here is how you reset a society's technology level. The teacher is never in charge of what the students learn. This Joseph character is a teacher of a class. He is not the principal of the school. There are many schools. He is clearly taking direction as to what the students of the new society will learn. There were many classes like this one all over the country, happening simultaneously. This was an operation. This went on for 12 years with zero backstory. Finds the Collegium, Josephinum, this massive college, is just found and ready to roll. No clue where the money came from. No mention of how many men were needed to build this place. Just found it. And its first class of 23 men began. It's unbelievable. This is one of the most important stories to our research, in my opinion, because it shows exactly how the operation took place. It's actually laying it all out there and shows us exactly how they repopulated these regions in the USA. It shows us the operation with the orphans, the teaching programs. And this was our base for our technological knowledge. Whoever controlled this operation from the top has all of the technology from the previous civilization and is controlling what technology we get to have. And they've clearly been doing this for a very long time. And for anyone that's on the fence, we have the St. Vincent's Infant Asylum, located in Baltimore, where we have tunnels under the ground. This infant asylum was in use in the mid-1800s, during the same time period as German transferred Joseph. And what do you know? In the early 1900s, the operation was done, and they declined new orphans. 1941, they changed this to apartments. And in 2015, they light it up and try to destroy it with a fire, but they fail. So 3 years later, what do you think happens? 2018, the building was illegally demolished without a permit. You literally can't make this stuff up. It gets more and more obvious. If you're still on the fence, let's go even deeper. We have the St. Mary's Orphan Asylum, located in Galveston, Texas, where they tell us that this one is haunted. Now, I've talked about hauntings before briefly. I'm not going to say that there aren't any hauntings, but when it comes to these old world buildings, I think it was a tactic to keep people away from them. Just say that they're haunted, and it scares everyone away from investigating. So we have yet again another orphan operation going on in the mid-1800s. And I'm just going to let you know that this is going on and on and on. There were so many orphan operations going on in the mid-1800s because this was how they were repopulating these cities. So where were all these kids' parents? Is this where a lot of our families originated from? Is this why the family trees in the USA almost all end around the same time period? We are told hundreds of fire stories through the first 52 episodes. We know that that is the key, and the nod that it's a building that was constructed by the previous civilization. The St. Mary's Orphan Asylum. You all may have seen the conversations happening online lately. Censorship is back and it's happening everywhere. Platforms are, and they've always been controlling narratives and pushing the stuff that they want us to see. So we need to fight back. Rumble is the only company that has stood the test of time and deserves our support. On one side, Rumble is challenging big tech censorship, but now on the other side, they've introduced something that's incredible, that's gonna give us protection from the big banks shutting us off. We all know that banks can cancel our accounts and freeze our cards. We've seen it. So that's exactly why they've launched Rumble Wallet. It's a wallet that nobody can cancel, and a wallet that supporters can use to instantly tip creators without any middleman taking cuts. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money. Not a bank, not a government, not a tech company, and not even Rumble. It's yours. Only yours. Yours to protect your future and family. You can buy and save digital assets like Bitcoin, Tether Gold, and now the brand new USAT, Tether's US regulated stablecoin in one place. Tether Gold is real gold on the blockchain with ownership of physical gold bars. USAT keeps your money steady against inflation. No banks are needed. This is not only a wallet to just buy and save. It also allows you to support your favorite creators by easily tipping them with the click of a button. There will be no more fees when you tip my channel or others. The fees where they take half of your money, with Rumble Wallet, those fees are completely gone. And you're gonna now be able to tip my channel and others. And we're actually gonna be able to receive the tip instantly. Support my show and other creators that you love by clicking the tip button on my Rumble channel. It's wallet.rumble.com. Download Rumble Wallet today. Open an account and step away from the big banks for good. Wallet.rumble.com or search Rumble Wallet in the app stores today. I appreciate all of your support. For anyone wondering where the parents of these orphans were, you might want to check the other asylum, the insane asylum, because they were not going along with the reset. Here's a graph showing that the insane asylums are disappearing over time, and I wonder why. Good thing they cared so much about us in 1955 and 1965, because surely that was the fix. Oh, it wasn't? And then a fire had devastated the St. Mary's Orphan Asylum in 1875. If anyone is still on the fence, there is room over here to get off the fence. And honestly, who would want to sit on top of a fence anyway? So we have Ohio, Baltimore, Texas. We have all these towns and cities being repopulated. Brand new people, brand new social structures, brand new mindsets, and resetting what people are taught. This all happened around 150 years ago. So this is all very new. This isn't thousands of years ago. Then we have another very interesting aspect of this in Germany during this same exact time period. And remember, we also have good old Joseph from earlier, also from Germany. So here we are given the Kinderbewahrenstalt. And if I pronounce that wrong, I hope you all understand. This is where we are given kindergarten, another tactic to teach children the brand new social structures. What better way to trick people? Take them out of their family's home and tell them what to think, and then test them on it. Failing the test will then lower your self-esteem, putting a social pressure on children to agree with this new way of thought, or they will be called dumb and get an F. This is an operation. It's all connected, and it's designed to enslave the world's population. Year after year, we are all taught a false narrative. We've all been brainwashed into thinking that you are either smart or dumb, based on a curriculum that holds zero value in the real world. Now, who knows if this Frederick Froebel was even a real character, but they do admit that kindergarten starts in Germany around the exact same time period that we're talking about, the mid-1800s. So I wanted to tie it all in with the rest of the world. This is a worldwide operation. This is not just the USA. We have a lot of things in the USA being controlled through Germany during this time period, especially the education aspect of it. And I want to point out that yes, we have borders and division now. We have so many countries in the world, and everyone is separated. And you're unable to travel to other lands unless you have a piece of paper that is registered and checked at the checkpoints. But who's to say that there even was a border in the previous civilization? Were there so-called elected leaders controlling everyone, deciding what we can and cannot do? Could they have had a truly free life where they were able to travel wherever they want freely and not feel like they're invading someone else's territory? I would say, in my opinion, this was the world that was here before the reset. And something happened where this past civilization was wiped out and their technology was stolen by a group. And some of it is now being sold back to us strategically. The good stuff is kept to control the masses and used for their benefit. Here we have the St. Joseph's Orphanage, located in Vermont. And if you want to know where they get these horror movies, where they show a nun doing crazy things, there's a dark truth to it. These movies don't come out of nowhere. They come from the last 150 years. Here in Vermont, in the mid-1800s again, thousands of children came through its doors. If you want to demoralize, control, and manipulate a new population, make them completely forget their past and never question what they're told, you would make them suffer. You would take them from their families, and you would ruin their mind at a young age. We have more than 5 million American children passing through the orphanage system in the 1900s alone, hitting its peak in the early 1900s. So it began in the mid-1800s and really ramped up to populate these cities. The American orphanage system included more than 1,600 institutions, partly supported by public funding, but usually run by religious orders, exactly like we talked about in the beginning of this episode. So I think we have now a very solid understanding how the USA was repopulated, how this operation took place, and exactly when it took place. I think that we now have factual evidence as to when this reset really happened. And I think that every episode that is released makes episode 10 and 38 stronger and stronger, giving us more and more proof to our true history. How many times to this point have we seen that the statues from the old world, they don't have their hands anymore? The stories tell us that the old world, some individuals had 6 fingers and 6 toes. Should we take this further with the first mention of giants with 6 fingers and 6 toes appears in ancient texts, the Bible, and various mythologies, where we have shown so many times that these so-called myths are so much more factual than the mainstream narrative that we have all been told. One of the most famous references comes from the book of 2 Samuel in the Old Testament, which mentions a giant named Ishbi-Benob, who was described as having 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, a descendant of the Nephilim, a race of giants mentioned earlier in Genesis, with statues from the old world exposing the truth, showing the depictions of the past, destroyed so many times, chopping the hands off over and over, chopping the feet off. And when they don't do this, it exposes so much. Just like we saw in episode 109. All of this, in my opinion, all based on my research. You are always free to think whatever you'd like. I've said this since the very beginning. That being said, let's keep going. And there was yet a battle in Gath, where was a man of great stature, that had on every hand 6 fingers, and on every foot 6 toes, 4 and 20 in number, meaning 24 fingers and toes in total. And he was also born to the giant. All of this is a myth. Are you sure? With 7 full books documented as being removed from the Protestant Bible. 7 full books removed, along with additional parts of other books, such as Esther and Daniel, all excluded. And we all know that it wasn't just 7. What was being removed changed. I'm not speaking to the 7 books that were removed. I am so much more interested in if there was more than 7 at this point. I believe that this book, the Bible, is directly from the old world, telling all of us, admitting that this incredible book has been altered. So let's turn this up a notch. Polydactyly is the condition of having extra fingers or toes. A condition? Or is this the giants, the Nephilim from the old world, the previous civilization? Egypt, where some mummies found in high-status tombs were reported to have extra digits. Finding mummies with extra digits in Thebes, the ancient capital of Egypt. Archaeologists discovered a tomb. Was it just one? You tell me. A tomb belonging to a royal or high-ranking individual. The Nephilim? I believe so. The tomb contained mummified remains with unusual characteristics, including extra fingers and extra toes. This is unbelievable. Is this what we are all being blocked off from? That the Nephilim were the leaders of the old world? Does the extra finger, the extra toe, does this expose that? And this is why the statues of all of them are all removed today. I believe that this is the case. Like I've said since the beginning, I don't believe that this is thousands of years ago. I believe that this was only a few hundred years ago. And it's getting clearer and clearer. Mummies from the Valley of the Kings in Egypt, which were discovered in our timeline yet again. Just like it is every single time. The late 19th and early 20th centuries have been examined for unusual traits like polydactyly, 6 fingers, 6 toes, with modern archaeological excavations reporting finding remains of individuals with extra digits in the tombs. I believe that we fully understand why these statues of the past are deliberately destroyed, chopping the heads, the hands, and the feet off of all of them perfectly with a saw all over the world, because we all know that this isn't just in Egypt. The mound builders of North America, specifically Ohio, Illinois, and the Mississippi River Valley. We are just getting started today. This research is incredible, and it all fits together over and over like a puzzle. I've said this for so long. It feels so much like a game, and I believe that it is. I believe this is all to find the truth. It's all laid out there for us to find it. If you begin to put the pieces together and know exactly what you're looking for, it all begins to tell a story, an incredible story, the true history, while at the same time exposing the false narrative. In episode 45, we went on top of the Cahokia mounds. This was like 66 weeks after episode 111. 66 weeks later, we found the next puzzle piece to this location in southern Illinois, USA, that archaeologists have uncovered hundreds of human burials, with hundreds more burials being discovered across the other mounds, and the exact numbers vary due to not completing the excavation. They stopped excavating the site. We know this from episode 111, and we only needed to wait 2 more weeks to put the next puzzle piece together for this location. Not only were these people found underneath this supposed dirt pile that we all know is a temple covered by grass, but we find something incredible about these people that are still here at this site today. And I believe that we've found the reason that they stopped digging, all to preserve their narrative. The Cahokia Mounds, one of the largest sites in the Americas that we found so far, has yielded numerous burial mounds and remains, with some reports, though not extensively documented, of course. These reports documented that there are skeletons buried at the Cahokia Mounds with extra digits, telling all of us that this Mississippian culture viewed these individuals with extra digits, extra fingers and extra toes, as possessing special significance or power. We have just exposed that the Nephilim were in Illinois, USA, and it's looking like they're still possibly buried there today, 2 feet underneath the dirt, like we have shown. The mounds at Cahokia were used for ceremonial and burial purposes. We have also shown they were for sacrificial purposes, showing that we obviously don't know what the Nephilim were up to. Possibly not great things. With some of the skeletons found associated with elite figures, just like we saw in Egypt, indicating that polydactyly was seen as a sign of strength or divinity. You're not seeing these individuals buried with a chisel next to them. These individuals with 6 fingers and 6 toes, they weren't found with a rake next to them. They weren't off making pottery. These were the leaders. They were in charge. And I believe that we've fully exposed this. And it all started with having open eyes, seeing that they would chop the hands off of the statues, understanding that the statues that we all see today are actually depictions of the past and not just myth. And then that evolved into seeing that their hands and feet were also removed perfectly, over and over. And now we're finding evidence that they have found the leaders of the past, the leaders of the old world. 6 fingers, 6 toes, and they were giants. And they are being hidden from us today, telling us that they are preserving the site when they are just preserving their narrative. Just like we saw in 1967. They found these individuals buried, mass graves, and then they stopped in 1971. It's very clear at this point that the land that we all live on is filled with such a different story than what we have all been told. A controlled narrative, a molded one, to fit into this ridiculous timeline that we've all been given. Understanding that a giant race was here, and they had 6 fingers and 6 toes. A race that is documented. These individuals have been found, and we know their locations. And trust me, we are just getting started. There are so many more. The Nephilim explains so much about the old world, and it opens up a brand new door. It possibly explains how things were actually constructed. A much more logical explanation for the pyramids of Giza is that there were actually bigger people here. It would just make a lot more sense that bigger people with more fingers and more toes, with more knowledge of this place that we live, built this. This shows that constructing the Milan Cathedral, the Cologne Cathedral, with a donkey and a chisel, with no lights on, dirt roads, and no toilet paper until the 1800s, doesn't make logical sense. This story is done. The history that we've all been told is in the past. It is now a myth, especially when we go to Ohio. The Adena Mound, located in Adams County, USA, where they excavated the burial site, and it revealed the remains of individuals with extra digits. Elite status yet again, where the Cherokee called them the Moon People. The Utes and the Paiutes spoke of a hideous race of cannibals, 10 feet tall, living in caves. Are these caves, or are these tunnels? And the Choctaw also have an account of the race of giants that first colonized the Ohio Valley. This is all in the USA. Cushman then recounts the discovery in 1880 at a burial mound near Plano, Texas, of human bones of enormous size. The jawbones so large as to slip over the face of a man with ease, with many historians speculating that they were the builders of the Adena Mounds, the place that they found the 6-finger, 6-toe individuals. Multiple sources, all connecting back to this location. The Cherokee, calling them the Moon People. I've had so many requests asking me to go into the Cherokee and do some research. Well, here we go. According to the Cherokee stories, the Moon People are described as large, powerful beings who were considered giants with extraordinary abilities. These Moon People, which I believe are the Nephilim, were said to ascend towards the moon, where they continued to watch over the earth. The Watchers. We are connecting massive dots today. Yes, the Watchers. These are the parents of the Nephilim in the Bible. In the Bible, the Watchers were angels that were sent to earth to watch over the humans. Then they fell in love with the women and had children with them. The children were the Nephilim, the offspring. And these Nephilim were described as savage giants that endangered humanity. The Moon People in Cherokee stories then ascended towards the moon to continue watching over the earth, often seen as ancient guardians of the world, giants. suggesting that the giants were so powerful that they could no longer remain on Earth and were sent back to the moon. And then we find them here, buried. And in my opinion, this is proof of their existence. Finding the 6 fingers, the 6 toes, jaws that could go over a human head, and then not giving us any photographs of them, and just relying on written reports and sketches. We all know that we were given the camera back in the 1800s. So when they found them in the 1970s at the Cahokia mounds in southern Illinois, this would not have been an issue to take a picture of it, telling us that photographic techniques were not as advanced or commonly used in archaeological practice. This is a bunch of nonsense, an excuse to keep these findings hidden and out of the mainstream narrative. This is exactly why they stopped excavating the site in 1971. This is unbelievable. Local legends describe these individuals as giants or people of great power. In several mounds, the archaeologists uncovered skeletons with 6 fingers on each hand and 6 on each foot. The individuals appeared to be of large size. Again, we see the depictions all over the world. They don't design the entire thing perfectly and then accidentally put an extra finger on both hands. That's not what happened. This was done on purpose. So when someone has polydactyly, this can mean that they have 6 fingers on one hand and the other hand has 5 fingers and both feet have 5 toes. It could also mean that both hands have 6 fingers and both feet have 6 toes. So to be more specific and attack this even further, we have to understand that we only want to research the instances where it's 6 fingers and 6 toes on both hands and both feet. This is polydactyly, but it is more specifically called hexadactyly. And hexadactyly means they have 6 fingers and 6 toes on both hands and both feet. And what I find extremely interesting is that people are still born with this today. It's extremely rare, with 1 in 1 million births, or only 140 people a year worldwide. They are born with this. So when we see it all over the world, the powerful giant old world figures in every continent, and they are being discovered as the leaders. This is not a common trait today at all. And there were less people back then, we are told. Yet there are so many instances where people have 6 fingers and 6 toes and they are the leaders. And they are also giants, showing that this group, in my opinion, this is the Nephilim, they are gone. And there were so many more of them here in the past being around 500 years ago, in my opinion. I personally believe that this group did leave, with some dying from the catastrophic event that took place. The event that melted buildings. The event that covered this place with mud. But I also believe that their DNA lives on, a very small amount. I believe these 140 people per year, they might just have traces of this dominant trait. And so many times we saw that the head, the arms, the hands and the feet were removed from the depictions of our true past. The old world statues, and we see they are so deliberately removed. A perfect cut over and over. We always speculated that it was hiding more, and I believe today that we have fully exposed what it was hiding all along. Hiding that the Nephilim were here and extremely involved in the way that things were done. The leaders in every continent, I believe that we have opened up a brand new door that explains so much more about where we are. And I will never look at a statue without a head, without its feet, and without its hands the same ever again. One thing we can't overlook is how these traits, 6 fingers, 6 toes, and towering size, weren't just physical. They symbolize something so much deeper. Power, or even a connection to forces beyond this world, as we were told with the moon people, or the Watchers. Across so many cultures, these individuals weren't just leaders. They were gods, warriors, and builders. Their influence shaped everything. including the massive architecture that's still here today. What if the missing hands and feet on these statues weren't just about hiding the truth, but also about erasing a lineage, erasing who once ruled and what they were capable of? It's not just about what's missing, it's about what they don't want us to see. This isn't just history we're uncovering. It's a blueprint to understanding what they don't want us to know. The Nephilim were here, and that changes everything. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I'll be back very soon with so much more. See ya.